It only took one mistake. Just one. Everything else had been planned. Carefully, patiently, every move thought through, every risk calculated. For a while, it worked. No witnesses, no noise, no reason for anyone to suspect what had happened, until something small changed everything. It started like any normal day, routine, predictable, nothing out of place. She left home without hesitation, no sense of danger, no reason to believe that someone was already watching, because they had been, for days, maybe longer, watching patterns, learning routines, understanding timing, the exact moment she would be alone. And when that moment came, it was fast. Too fast. No clear scream, no scene anyone could fully describe, just a gap, a moment where everything shifted and no one noticed. At first, it didn't feel like a crime. People assumed she would come back, that something simple had delayed her, that plans had changed. But hours passed, then a full day, then another, and suddenly, those explanations didn't make sense anymore. Calls went unanswered, messages unread, her routine completely broken. That's when concern turned into urgency. A missing person report was filed, and the search began. Police started with what they had: last known location, last known time, last known contact, trying to build a timeline. But timelines depend on clarity, and this one had too many gaps. No solid witnesses, no clear direction, just fragments, moments that didn't connect, which made it feel like whoever was responsible knew exactly what they were doing. Investigators began to believe this wasn't random, this wasn't opportunity, this was planned, which meant one thing: the person responsible had prepared, understood the environment, understood timing, understood how to move without being noticed. And if that was true, they wouldn't make obvious mistakes, they wouldn't leave clear evidence, everything would be controlled. And for a while, it was. No clear suspect, no usable footage, no direct lead. The case began to stall, and that's when pressure started building, because time matters, and every hour without answers makes things harder. So investigators went back, re-examined everything, every report, every timeline, every small detail, because sometimes the answer isn't in what you find, it's in what you missed. And that's when they found something. Not the mistake, not yet. A different detail. One that seemed important. One that pointed in a direction. A person. Someone who had been near the area. Someone whose behavior didn't quite match. Unusual timing. Unclear explanation. At first, it felt promising. Finally a lead. Investigators focused on it. Built a theory. Followed movements. Looked deeper into connections. And for a moment, it felt like the case was breaking open, like they were close. But then, it started to fall apart. The timeline didn't fully match. Key details didn't align. The more they pushed, the weaker it became. And eventually, they had to let it go. A false lead. A direction that felt right, but wasn't. And that moment mattered, because it forced them back. Back to the beginning. Back to the details they had already seen. Back to the things they thought didn't matter. And that's when it happened. Not a breakthrough. Not something obvious. Just something small. So small, it had been overlooked more than once. A detail hidden in plain sight. Something that didn't stand out until you looked at it differently. At first, it raised a question, then another, then something deeper. Because it didn't fit. Not with the timeline. Not with the behavior. Not with the scene. And once investigators focused on it, everything shifted. The case changed direction. That small detail became the center of everything. They slowed it down, analyzed it, reconstructed events around it, and suddenly, things began to connect. Movements that once felt random now had meaning. Moments that once seemed unimportant now had purpose. And the person responsible started to come into focus. Not clearly, not all at once, but enough to see the pattern, enough to understand what happened, because that detail wasn't supposed to be there. It was the mistake, the one thing that didn't go according to plan, the one moment where control slipped. And once it was seen, it couldn't be ignored. Investigators followed it, step by step, rebuilding the timeline, now with clarity, now with direction, and everything started to make sense. The planning, the timing, the silence. It wasn't luck, it wasn't coincidence, it was intentional, but not perfect, because perfection requires control, and control is fragile. It only takes one moment to break, one action, one overlooked detail, one human mistake. And that's what this was. Not something big, not something obvious, something small, something simple, something human. And that's what exposed everything. Because no matter how careful someone is, no matter how much they plan, there's always something they miss, something they don't think matters, something they believe no one will ever notice until someone does. And when that happens, the entire illusion falls apart. This case didn't unravel because of force, or luck, or chance. It unraveled because of one mistake, a detail so small it was almost ignored. But once it was seen, it changed everything. Which brings us back to the question: if that mistake never happened, if that detail was never noticed, would the truth have ever come out? Or would it have remained hidden perfect forever? If you're drawn to cases like this, subscribe to Forgotten Evidence, Buried Truths, because sometimes it's not the crime that reveals the truth, it's the mistake.